welcome to No Broken Legs. Week 11 of the NFL season is upon us. The Browns are coming off the bye, and to find out if there's much of anything left to play for this season is Jimmy Champ. Jimmy, how are you on this Sunday morning?
I'm doing good. I want to give a shout-out to the parents of all the Walsh Jesuit football players. They played their semifinal football game at Ravenna Stadium Friday night, and their parents absolutely invaded all the local hometown restaurants and gave a nice boost to the Ravenna economy Friday night. So
Well,
thank you for that, Walsh parents.
It would be a boost to Northeast Ohio in general if the Browns could play good football, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's a totally different environment when the Browns are playing well, man.
What are you expecting with this game on the road in New Orleans, coming off the bye? How do you think this team's going to respond to a lot of questions being asked over the last 2 weeks?
So it's going to be – I'm so interested to watch this football game, right? Because, you know, the Browns got the boost the week Jameis becomes the starter, as well as, you know, Jim Donovan's passing. And, you know, Jameis didn't play great. Baltimore just happened to drop the interceptions. Then the next week, the Chargers do not drop the interceptions and just toyed with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Now, the Saints last week got a big boost from their interim head coach, who, from all accounts of player reviews, just pretty much came in and said, I think everything we were doing as a team was wrong and we're going to change it all. And
wow, that's a very different tone for their two-win team than our two-win team. I just want to point that out real quick.
No, I completely agree. And it seems like the veteran players really bought into it. Like, you know what? You're right. Whatever we're doing to have only won 2 games is probably wrong. Let's change it.
Yeah, like what's the worst that could happen? We still suck.
I think even without Za'Darius, I think the Browns defense is still more talented than the Saints offense. But I feel like this Browns team has to prove to me that they haven't folded before I could pick them to win a game. So I'm taking the Saints here.
I'm taking the Browns for no other reason than that's what my gut tells me is going to happen today.
Hey, I like it.
I advise everybody that can hear what I am saying right now, do not bet on this game.
Yeah.
This is the Saints and the Browns, 2 of the highest variant teams in the league. The Saints could blow Cleveland out, and I wouldn't be surprised. The Browns could blow the Saints out, and I wouldn't be surprised. What's probably going to end up happening is there's going to be stretches of this game where one team looks like they should beat the other by 50, and then, you know, the cosmic balance will tilt the other way, and then, you know, it'll just swap. This just feels like the type of game that leaves both fan bases upset regardless of who wins.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's going to come away from this game going, oh no, we can still make a run at the playoffs. Like,
yeah, and I think that really gets to the heart of what's going on. What are you looking for? Are you just looking for some fight?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I'm looking for players who are maybe still under contract for the next couple of years, or players who are looking to put really good tape out there for their next team. Like, what players are going to go out and really grind and battle? And who else is going to make a business decision like Jed Wills? Like, it's curious because we feel like the coaching staff outside of Kevin Stefanski are like grinders. They're guys that want to see that dog in you, that want to see that fight in you. Which one of these players comes out and goes, I'm personally going to make an impact for the good for this team in this game? I'm just really, really interested to see who that's going to be.
I think that last thing you said there is spot on. Who's going to try to affect the game for the plays that they can affect the game?
Yep.
And this organization constantly has talked about building a culture of winning. Well, what you just pointed out that we're looking for in guys, that's how you build a culture of winning. You get a bunch of those guys on your team. You get a bunch of guys who care. That's how you get a culture of winning. It doesn't just happen overnight. I was very critical last week of Andrew Berry and his ridiculous press conference where, it's the meme, man. He's just sitting in the middle of the room on fire going, this is fine.
Yeah.
And everybody can see that it's not fine. And it's like, dude, just fucking tell us what's going on. Because if you guys are hoping behind the scenes that these guys go out and lose most of the next couple of games, that's not how you build a culture of winning. And Jedrick Wills is a player that this organization rewarded with a 5th year by picking up his extension at like $17 million, which we all knew 2 years ago that he shouldn't be the starting left tackle of this team.
Yep.
He can't stay healthy long enough. Even when he's healthy, he's not that good, and there's real questions about his drive. Guys like that on your team that's the cancer, man. Because then the other guys are looking at him. It's just like all our other jobs, man. NFL players are not all that dissimilar from us, albeit the millions of dollars does make things quite different. But for a lot of them, it's still their job.
Yeah, exactly.
And we all have worked at places where there's some lazy piece of shit. And you know what? It makes everybody want to work less hard.
Yep.
So I'm surprised he's still on the team. I guess they can't cut him. But, I mean, I feel like a suspension was warranted just to send a message and to say everything they did, but then, like, we're suspending him for a game or two. Like, I totally get what he's saying with that. But, like, dude, you're not good. That's why you're not the starting left tackle anymore. Because of that general attitude and your inability to stay on the field and to be good when you're on there. Like, why am I spending so much time talking about Jed Wills?
Because unfortunately, it's a story.
Because the whole team acts like this all the time. Well, not the whole team, but it seems like there's a big part of the team that feels like this all the time. Like, I'm with a bunch of clowns. They don't know what they're doing. I can't wait to get out of here. Because that's what Zadarius Smith sounded like.
Yeah. And we don't know, I guess you don't know how Stefanski and Barry are behind closed doors, but when in front of a camera, you're not willing to call out any of the nonsense. It's hard to believe you call any of it out any other time.
Bingo. For the sake of Cleveland football, I hope they can win some games coming down the stretch. I know they've got some tough ones in here, but, steal one of the Pittsburgh games. Like, Pittsburgh's good, but they're not that good. Like, that's how you build winning. If you want to build a culture of winning, you've got to win football games. Because you've said before you don't trust them to get it right, even if they get the top draft picks. Yeah, I
mean, Andrew Berry hasn't shown he knows how to hit in the draft. So I don't know. I don't know how you write it, but you got to figure something out.
So I'll pitch you an idea I had the other day. I'm not endorsing this as what they should do, but it's definitely something they should think about. Because you're saddled with Watson's contract the next 2 years, it completely erases the whole, everybody's like, oh, just go get a cheap quarterback, and then if he plays at that level, then, but you're still not making up the money. It's the same thing as when they, hit on Jones, and they still were paying Conklin and Wills. Like, you're not getting the benefit of having a rookie on a rookie deal.
Yep.
When you're just making up for some other dumb shit that some other dumb contract you signed.
Yep.
I would trade back.
Yeah.
I would trade back, look to find pieces to fill in the offensive line that has suddenly gotten a lot older, fill in some of the missing pieces on defense to get some real gamers in there on the defensive line. Find a fucking real linebacker, please.
Yep.
And just approach it that way. Approach the next 2 years like we're going to build out the rest of our roster, and then we're going to find our quarterback. Losing to get a quarterback did not work for the Carolina Panthers.
Nope.
Remember when Houston won that game and everybody was like, the coach was giving the team a big FU? He did them the biggest favor they've ever had. He didn't know it.
But it's just because
they won the game and they were the ones who got the quarterback. Like, doesn't that, like, I don't buy into the ethereal stuff, but come on, man. Like, it at least builds that idea of we're trying to win.
And that's an old school. That's an old school coach of the NFL going, I'm not losing a game on purpose. Fuck you.
Yeah. And he was getting jobbed by the organization, and the organization still benefited from it. How about that shit? It's a weird world we live in. Who was that coach?
Lovie Smith. But Ev, I think you're just very right on that trying to build the winning culture. Like,
yeah, this is when you do the work to get that built up, and you carry it into the off season.
Yep.
You don't just make it appear in training camp when guys are in t-shirts and shorts.
Yep. I totally agree. And this is where you find out what players, right? Because realistically, we of course they all say at the start of the year the goal is to win the Super Bowl. Realistically, at the start of every year, we know like the 5 teams that have a chance. But
Yeah,
now
and
you're
we
to the
bet
point
them.
where like not even the playoffs are a possibility. Who's willing to go out and really try to make the team better?
Yeah.
Who's willing to go out and maybe pick up that player next to him, push somebody's head up, make an extra yard when it's not needed,
Kick
when it's
somebody in the ass when they need it.
yep, like it's just going to be an interesting game because this is a winnable game.
Oh,
There are
yeah.
still probably 3 or 4 winnable games on the schedule, but it's going to take the heart and the effort that's supposed to make the Cleveland Browns. So what the Cleveland Browns are supposed to be, it's what they were 4 years ago. It's what they're supposed to be.
Here, here. The people of this area that have supported this just shit franchise for so long deserve better. I know we always say that,
But
and I
it's the
guess
truth.
nobody really deserves one thing or another, but it's just this team, man. Fucking A. Let's talk about some of the other teams because I feel like I have more fun doing that.
Yeah, yeah. There's some really
Whew.
good games on the slate this week.
Wow, I see that the Detroit Lions, who are hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars, are now 14-point favorites. This is up a half point from yesterday or the day before. It was 13, I think, to open.
Yeah.
It is now 14. Over under sits at 47. Minus 900 for the Lions. Plus 600 for the Jaguars. Hey, Jacksonville is just a bad football team. And right now, Detroit might be playing the best of anybody in the league.
I don't know, man. That's a pretty bold statement for a team that was down 26 points and a half.
Look, man, they seem, at least at this point, Jared Goff proof.
Well, Jacksonville, the only thing Jacksonville can do good is rush the quarterback, and I think Houston gave everybody a little bit of a blueprint to mess up a Jared Goff perfect game. So I think the Jaguars cover this spread.
I'm going to take Detroit. I just feel like they're the better team, and they've just been putting up 30, 40 points on everybody. Do you like the over?
Of course.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Next up, we have a big game in the AFC North. Baltimore traveling to Pittsburgh. Baltimore 3-point road favorites. 48 the over-under, minus 175 on Baltimore, plus 145 on Pittsburgh. What Jimmy is exclaiming for is something you all know, and that is when Mike Tomlin is a home dog, you bet on Mike Tomlin.
What is going on? Like, what is happening? Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh money line. Pittsburgh. Maybe the over? I haven't fully decided yet, but Pittsburgh to win this football game.
Lamar usually struggles against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
They've really struggled. Baltimore with Lamar has really struggled to beat Pittsburgh. I think Tomlin just knows how to defend him. It makes it really difficult.
And Pittsburgh can do the same thing to Derrick Henry that the Browns did. They can pretty much keep Derrick Henry at bay. The Steelers are really clicking right now. Unfortunately,
I know,
they
it's
appear
so
to
fucking infuriating.
they appear to be back before they ever even left. So
I know they fucking signed 2 quarterbacks that nobody wanted, and they're fucking all they do is win games with them. Both of them, fucking both of them.
Hey, it's like if you put a bunch of other guys on the roster that want to try to win and play hard, then the quarterback will just work out.
Hey, I heard some guys talking about something like that not too long ago.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of crazy how that happens.
Up next, we have the Minnesota Vikings. They're traveling to Tennessee to take on the Titans. 6-point road favorites are the Vikings. 39's the over-under, minus 270 for Minnesota, plus 220 for Tennessee. Tennessee's defense is trying to show up. Do you think they can do enough to keep this within a touchdown?
I feel like this is like Tennessee kicks a useless field goal late to like bring it to a 5-point game or something. So I feel like I'm taking Tennessee here. I don't think they can win the game, but Sam Darnold has not looked well recently, and it just feels like Minnesota's not clicking how they were. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Tennessee here.
God damn it. I don't know what to do with this game. I'm going to take Minnesota because I think they have the better offense and the better defense.
Yeah, that's true. You're
and
absolutely right.
Tennessee's just, Sam Darnold, man. Starting to turn back into a pumpkin. That's really where it's at. But I still think Minnesota pulls this one out just to make me sweat my Detroit division bet.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
The Chicago Bears are hosting the Green Bay Packers. Packers, another big road favorite here, 6 points. 40 is the over-under, minus 258 for Green Bay, plus 210 for Chicago. Chicago's just been in a tailspin since that Washington game, man. Is there any way they can put up a fight here?
No, not. I mean, I don't. Eberflus is still the head coach, right?
Yeah, that's not where you want to be.
Right. The two veteran wide receivers don't want to play with the rookie quarterback still, right?
I haven't heard of that changing.
Okay, yeah. Now give me Green Bay here. I'll take Green Bay.
Yeah, I really interested to see what Jordan Love looks like.
Yeah,
he's been very reckless at times with the football. He's been very dynamic at times, but they're not going to go on any kind of real run unless he finds some consistency, at least within a game. This would be one of those games I'd like to see him not turn the ball over.
Yeah, they definitely need him to be more Aaron Rodgers and less Brett Favre. He's making some pretty wild passes. Like, sir, I don't know if you're good enough to try that one, buddy. Like,
up next, we have the Miami Dolphins. They are home favorites against the Las Vegas Raiders. 7.5 is the spread. 43 is the over/under. Minus 345 for the Dolphins. Plus 275 for the Raiders. Can the Raiders keep this one close?
No.
Yeah,
no, let's go either. Miami.
Yeah, I think Miami's going to make a little run here. You know, build up a culture of, hey, you know, we've had some injuries this year, but we can win some games, get ourselves up to 500.
Huh.
I think that's where they're at.
Huh, how about that?
Try and build some momentum going into next year.
Huh, because they've got all these great pieces, and then just kind of put a quarterback around it, huh?
Yeah, and he's not even that dynamic of a quarterback.
No, they just got to keep him upright. That's the only thing.
And not leading headfirst on tackles.
Well, that would help his case for sure. Yeah, I think Miami. I agree with you. I think Miami can make a little run, and I think things are really, really bad for the Raiders.
Yeah,
all right,
they're in trouble. They're like in Browns territory trouble. I don't know what they're gonna do.
Probably make Deion Sanders their next coach and draft Shedeur Sanders.
That doesn't sound like a solution.
Well, I didn't say it was. It's a solution.
I guess it's a solution. I just don't think it's a very good one.
Yeah, I don't think it's very good either, but it kind of feels like the writing's on the wall there for that.
It just feels like we're in 3 or 4 years. It's going to be Deion Sanders gets full buyout on 10-year, fully guaranteed, $600 million contract to come coach Team X.
Like, it'll be like the day after they stop paying Gruden.
Our next contest sees the LA Rams traveling cross-country to take on the New England Patriots. 4-point favorites are the Rams. 43 is the over-under, minus 192 for LA, plus 160 for New England. This game just screams take New England, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. New England can get after the quarterback, and the Rams really had trouble protecting Stafford last week. So they got to it won't surprise me. I mean, I think McVay's a great coach. He's great at scheme and stuff. I think he'll figure out a way to slow it down, but I don't think you can stop it completely. So I think the Rams win, but I think the Patriots cover.
Also, Drake May.
Yeah, dude.
Pretty okay quarterback.
Yeah.
He's another one that needs to be more careful, maybe slide a little more often. But
he does. Just get down, bro.
Just get down, man. You don't need those 2 extra yards. You already got the first.
Come on, dude.
Another quarterback who needs to be a little more careful with his body is Anthony Richardson, who is coming back to start for the Indianapolis Colts as they take on the New York Jets. The Jets are 4-point home favorites. 43 is the over-under, minus 192 on the Jets, plus 160 for the Colts. Like when did the Jets become a good team, Jimmy? Why are they 4-point favorites against anybody?
Because their defense is still good enough to just dominate Anthony Richardson.
Okay.
And I think, they could win this game.
I mean,
they could win this game 5-0, bro. Field goal and a safety, 5-0. Jets cover.
Yeah, but we've been saying about the Jets all year, and you know what? It's never happened. That's the only problem with this Jets team. Everything makes so much fucking sense on paper, and then they play the games, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's right, games. That's right. Just New York hype. I think the Jets are still overvalued.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong. I mean I'm just going to keep dying on this hill because
Fair enough. I'm
they
taking
had
the
me
Colts.
convinced, and I'm going to keep saying nonsense because I believe the hype and Aaron Rodgers is washed, and I'm just going to keep picking them to win games.
I just remember they're 3-7, which means their under on their season over/under is already hit because it was 10.5.
This is true. But you don't want to see the Jets in the playoffs, buddy. Let me tell you.
I'm sure Kansas City and Baltimore are shaking in their boots.
That's
the a team that used to make a lot of teams shake in their boots is the San Francisco 49ers. They are home hosting the Seattle Seahawks. They are now 6-point favorites. 48's the over-under, minus 265 for the Niners, plus 215 for the Seahawks. This is where we need to see Christian McCaffrey actually look like Christian McCaffrey, because he looked like he was still getting himself back in last week, which long layoff, nobody should be freaking out over that. But if he looks pretty average this week, this Niners team might be in some really big trouble.
Yeah, they've got it. They're going to have their full complements to beat Detroit in the playoffs, I do believe.
Yeah, I think they got enough to handle Seattle here, though.
I don't know, man. Seattle plays weird football games, make things close that shouldn't be. I think San Francisco will pull out the win, but I'm going to take Seattle here.
Okay. I had that Seattle over and Seattle to make the playoffs, and they're like so on the edge of it.
It's right there, dude.
Another team.
Dude, the two teams that have like all of my like over and playoff parlays in jeopardy are Seattle and Miami.
Oof.
And I'm like, come on, just a little run, guys.
Another team, or a team that I'm also hoping wins one more game, is the Denver Broncos, because their over-under was 5.5, and they have 5 wins. They are home favorites against the Atlanta Falcons. 1.5 is the spread. 45 is the over-under. Minus 130 on the Broncos. Plus 110 for Atlanta. Atlanta just seems to never quite get their shit together, and Denver somehow seems to be exactly what I thought they would be. I have no idea what to do with this game because Atlanta should be better than Denver. But I don't think they will be.
I feel like this is going to be a game where Denver is going to come out and try to throw knockout punches to start the game defensively, and Kirk is going to throw like 3 30-yard passes. They go for touchdowns. And I think Atlanta's going to win this game outright. I like the Falcons here. Okay. But I agree with you that, like, if Denver wins this game like 17-3, there can be no surprise. Like, I know it's like, and people are, in some different spaces on social media, so people are, like, fighting with me, but I actually feel, like, super good about my Buccaneers to win the NFC South bet. Because I feel like at this point, they kind of are starting to know who they are, and I don't feel like Atlanta does.
It's funny. You have the Buccaneers to win that division, and you think they're going to win today. I have Atlanta to win that division, and I think Atlanta's going to lose today. I don't know what that means. I don't trust this Atlanta team at all. I don't know why I bet on them to hit their over and to make and to win the division. It's so frustratingly predictable. Why did I do this to myself, Jimmy?
Yeah, but they have so many pieces, man.
Yeah, that's another one where like the idea of them never quite seems to get together.
Yeah, they shouldn't be playing weird football games.
No, they shouldn't.
And they just keep playing weird football games like Seattle.
Well, two teams that know who they are.
Ooh, buddy.
The Buffalo Bills hosting the 2-time defending Kansas City Chiefs, who are also undefeated. The Bills are now 2.5-point favorites. It was 2. It's moved half point. 46 is the over-under, minus 130 on the Bills, plus 110 on the Chiefs. I earlier referenced the fact that whenever Mike Tomlin is an underdog at home, you should bet on him because the numbers are amazing. They're even better for Patrick Mahomes as an underdog. 12-1 to cover the 13 times it's happened. I believe they've won 11 of those outright.
Yeah.
This just feels like 27-24. Kansas City wins like a boring, maybe not a boring,
Yep.
but like a back and forth game. And they do what they do in the playoffs. They just beat them. They just beat Buffalo because they're better. And I think they sew up the 1 seed, and it'll be interesting to see how much they go after the undefeated record. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. I don't. I think Josh Allen will do all he can, and I think it'll still not be enough. I think I think this Chiefs team is really good, and I may actually have bet it the opposite if they weren't the underdogs. But Patrick Mahomes seems to really take that shit personally.
This Kansas City Chiefs team is doing exactly what New England used to do.
Yep.
We're going to take the first month and a half, and we're just going to figure out what's going on. What are teams doing? How are they playing us? What can we get away with out of our base packages?
Yep.
How much does Mahomes need to run for us to be really dynamic? And he's run a little bit more this year, I think.
Yeah.
But he's still so judicious in how he does it. It just seems like every time he runs, it's to make a 3rd and 12. And it's like, oh, they needed a big play there, and he just flipped field position with a 25-yard run.
Yeah.
Like, it's everything he does. He's the opposite of Jacoby Brissett.
You're absolutely right.
He finds ways in the big moments to make the play that matters most. And I think that's going to continue. I think he's going to run this game, so I think you should take the over on Mahomes. Because I do think that Buffalo defense is good. Buffalo's a legit team this year. They're just not good enough. Another big game in the AFC. The Chargers hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. The Chargers are 1.5-point favorites. 48 is the over. Under -122 for LA. Plus 102 for Cincinnati. Something's got to give here, Jimmy, because the Chargers are barely giving up 13 points a game, and Joe Burrow has just been on fucking fire, even though Cincinnati can't win a game. So do you think that Chargers defense can slow down this Bengals attack?
I think they can slow them down. I don't think you can stop what's happening right now. I think Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are going to go nuts, and in the end, the Chargers are going to get the win. I have some pretty good bets on the Bengals to make the playoffs and to win the AFC North. So
me too.
It makes me very sad, but for whatever reason, the defense can't.
The defense is just terrible. They're just terrible.
Like that 1 or 2 stops a game where they absolutely have to do it, they can't. And it did not take the Chargers long to know exactly who they are and what they want to do, and they're doing a great job of it. I think the Chargers win this game.
Yeah, they're not as run-heavy as they were, although I think they might get a little run-heavy this game because they're going to be able to really grind clock. They're going to be able to get those 4 or 5-yard runs that they're looking for. Last game of the week, the Houston Texans taking on the corpse of the Dallas Cowboys. The Texans are 7-point favorites. 41 is the over-under, -325 for Houston, plus 260 for Dallas. This is a game that Houston really does need to win by more than a touchdown. I think just to get it into their heads that they can do it.
Yeah. Their coaching staff's got to get a little bit more aggressive. They got to scheme up a little bit more protection for C.J. Stroud. But the Texans have also played a pretty tough schedule to this point, and I think this is gonna feel a lot better and easier for them. I think they can win this game by 10 points, so I'm gonna take the Texans here.
Yeah, I like the Texans here too. They're like Green Bay. I think we did that thing that we do where, those two teams are really hyped coming in. They're not quite ready, and they've also had some hiccups when you have injuries like that. But that's the NFL, man. I mean, Kansas City had to go out and remake their wide receiver core on the fly.
Yep.
So it's everybody's got injuries, man. But we'll see if C.J. Stroud. I still believe in that kid. He seems to have the gusto. He's got the juice.
Yeah, he really that game against Detroit last week was really the interception he threw in the end zone that I think would have sealed the game was one of the first poor plays I've seen him really make this year. Like even in their losses, he's played well, and it's been more of not. It's just been the pressure that's been getting to him on the blitz. He hasn't necessarily made a lot of bad throws, and that was a bad throw. But Dallas is they're trying to get this season over with, man. I don't think they want any part of this season, and I think they'll fold. I think they're going to fold pretty quick, and Houston will be okay. Because the thing about Houston is what they still have the fourth best record in the AFC. Like,
no, they're. Hold on one second. At 6-4, they are the 4 seed, but they actually have a worse record than the Chargers, Ravens, Steelers, Bills, and Chiefs.
Right.
So it's not been overwhelming. Plus, that division hasn't been very good. So it's another. The South divisions, man. It's tough to believe in those teams because you rack up a lot of easy wins if you're even moderately successful. If you're just, mediocre, you're going to rack up some wins.
Yep.
Who do you like for parlays?
I think this week for me is going to be a little different because I always, me, like I like to try to focus on the money lines, but there are some horrible odds. There are some horrible odds on some of the teams that I think are going to win. But for me personally, I don't feel like there's a lot of times where I'm going to get this opportunity. So I'm just going heavy on Pittsburgh and Kansas City.
Yeah, if you're not playing a Pittsburgh, Kansas City money line parlay, I feel like you're not paying attention. You don't got to make a huge bet on that, but if you bet that every time those two teams have been, and that's something that we do regularly. So I'm definitely going to be betting that Pittsburgh, Kansas City money line. I'll probably also, I don't know, maybe tease Kansas City plus 3.5, Pittsburgh plus 3.5, and throw that in a tease.
Yeah, and I feel super confident. Even while I'm not super confident in Jordan Love, I still feel super confident about the Green Bay game. I know we differed on it, but I do think Atlanta is going to win as well. So I'm probably looking there as well with those two games.
Yeah, and it's probably a good idea to look at Atlanta because you're getting good odds on a team that should be really good.
Yeah. Yep. That's how I thought about that one.
I think that's fair. I really like Miami to blow out Vegas.
Yeah, that's a good look too.
I like Detroit to blow out Jacksonville. It's just careful betting those blowouts. You're better off if you think it's going to be a blowout. You're better off betting on touchdown scores.
Yep.
You get way better odds on pick the 3 main guys that are going to score touchdowns. You probably get like +5, +600 odds.
Yeah, like if you're like Evan and you believe the Lions can blow this out, I mean, you figure that means St. Brown, Gibbs, and Montgomery are all scoring touchdowns.
Pretty much.
Especially because Laporta's out as well, so that takes him out of the mix. So, I mean, I guess you could go Jamison Williams as well, but I just think if you think Detroit's going to have a day like they've had a lot this year, I think those 3 guys are anytime touchdown scorer great bets.
Doug Peterson, shout out to him, still employed by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Look at him go, man.
He's getting the Dennis Allen treatment. They're just going to let the ship sink and then fire him.
Fortunately for him, Trevor's playing just bad enough that they don't know whose fault it is.
Yeah. Well, we all know Mac Jones isn't the answer.
No, come on, man. What are you talking about?
He's just not good, guys. Sorry. He's not a good quarterback.
He'll look great as the Browns starter next year.
Oh my God. That's like what they're probably going to wind up doing. And then he'll be like Jacoby Brissett. He'll be just average enough that they'll win like 7 or 8 games, and everybody will talk about how great he is. And it'll be like, weren't you guys the ones who said Baker wasn't any good when he won 10 or 11?
Won 10 games. Defense,
we'll come full circle on the unreasonableness of Cleveland fans of celebrating Mac Jones, who's a less talented version of the guy that they ran out of town, but they'll say, oh, no, Mac Jones is great. Look at all these things he does, which is like what they criticize Baker for.
Yeah, I still don't like it's,
I heard Daniel Jones's name mentioned, and I just, it's like, if they go out and sign Daniel Jones, then Evan's starting the petition to not give any public money to the Browns.
Yeah,
it is a crime against football fans to make him your possible starter. All right, man. Good luck this week with the parlays. I know we're some big spreads and some big road spreads, which always make me nervous.
Yep, as they should.
All right, well, week 11 in the books, week 12 to come. Jimmy, thank you for joining me this morning.
No place I'd rather be, brother.
I'd like to thank all of you for listening. The Browns may be awful, but there's still money to be made. And you can find it right here. Jimmy and I still treading water, but our season future bets are all looking pretty good. So we'll probably start talking about those here in the next couple of weeks a little more. For Jimmy Champ, I'm Evan Belfiore. Thank you for listening to No Broken Legs.